ladies and gentlemen. We are here at the Lead Podcast, brought to you by the League of East African Directors. I'm Fiona Wall, the CEO and your host. Today, with us is the chairperson of the League of East African Directors Board of Directors, herself, Mrs. Getrude Wamala Karugaba, a lawyer and board expert extraordinaire. We're speaking about board lead, the vision for lead, why lead. But we've also spoken about the person of Getrude and how she has evolved over the years into a board expert. Before we broke off, Getrude, you gave us a lot of nuggets on how to prepare yourself for the boardroom. You gave us some of the challenges that you experienced going into the board and how you sought to be the change that you wanted to see in forming lead. And I think there's been a lot of progress. I must say, as a young woman, I'm now the CEO of the League of East African Directors. I mean, that is something. I'm really flattered to be here, but it's because of work of people like you that has opened doors and increased diversity on board. Now, it's actually interesting when we see requests. These days, they want young people, they want different skill set. There's an emphasis on soft skill. So I would say you made quite some success. But just going back to you, and I know that you're a tough judge on yourself. So what would you say?
How do you know that?
Well, some of us know. If I may boast, Getrude is also an old girl from Mount St. Mary's in Magunga. So I'm proud to see an old girl perform like this. So as a Noga, I know that she drives herself very hard. So if you were to look at the performance of lead, what 2 or 3 major achievements would you speak of, and how would you communicate them? Yeah,
I think for me the most important achievement is creating a database.
Yeah.
That has amazing individuals. There are people that I didn't know before I joined LEAD. But when I look at the profiles that we have on our LEAD database, I am convinced that if these profiles are invited into the boardrooms, businesses will be well led. When you look at when we started LEAD, there was a tendency to have financial sector practitioners because financial sector tends to require boards. Other sectors didn't really look at boards as being important at the time. When you look at the way things are now, more and more sectors are realizing the importance of governance, corporate governance, as a success factor. And so when you look at the membership of LEAD now, more than 100, amazing. I have to keep saying amazing, because sometimes when we are asked to nominate people for boards, we're spoiled for choice.
Yeah,
because of the richness of the skills and the experiences that we have. So today, I don't think that any business should say we don't know where to find people.
Yeah,
I should have mentioned part of the reason why we started LEAD. When I joined boards at the time, I used to receive calls, and I'm not exaggerating, at least one every week. And people would say, we're looking for someone to join our board, we're looking for a woman, and so on. And it was a good position to be in, because you could choose. You could say, maybe Fiona, maybe so and so. But now, because we have LEAD and because we have a database, I don't need to make those decisions myself, because my decisions could be flawed.
Yeah.
There's a risk that I recommend a person I know rather than the person who's most appropriate for the task.
Yeah.
And so with the LEAD database now, it is not a gamble. We know which people we have. We're able to profile. You want a young person, we'll give you a young person. You want an engineer, we'll give you an engineer. You want a person who's worked abroad and in Uganda, we'll give you that person. So we have information right now. We have data. We have competencies. We have skills that are diverse and can serve. I think the other thing that we've achieved is giving visibility to the work of a non-executive director.
Yeah.
Typically or historically, focus is always given to the CEO and the executive directors. They're the ones who are important. They're the ones who run the business.
Yeah.
We've been able, particularly through the NED Awards, to give recognition to non-executive directors. Those 7 or 8 or 11 people that work with management, that support management, that encourage management to be successful.
And yet have no stake.
They have no stake in the business, but
Yeah.
they are on the hook for what happens. So through the NED Awards, we've been able to give visibility, prominence, recognition. And when you hear people talking now about the NED Awards, they are more sensitive to the fact that there are other people in the boardroom.
Yeah.
It's not just the chair and the CEO. There are people who are working collectively. Yes, through the role of the non-executive director. I think the third thing we have done is create opportunities to learn from each other, but to also debate topics that are important from a governance perspective. So when you look at our lead convention, which we've held now, we're going to have our third one this year. It's an opportunity to learn from experts, but also to debate those topics that we encounter in the boardroom. You know, sometimes people see directors and they think, oh, it's a glorified role, until you get into the boardroom and you see the complexity, the kind of things that happen and how you confront those. So we've created a forum, an environment where people can discuss safely.
Safe space.
A safe space. They can learn from each other. They can be mentored by others. They can be coached on how to be effective in the boardroom. So there are many things, but you said 3, so I will just leave it at that.
No, that's awesome, because I think when you align them with the challenges you are facing, I would say you have done what Mahatma Gandhi said, that in order to be the change you want to see, you start with changing
You
yourself.
lead the change yourself.
So
yeah.
you led the personal change, but then now you're working with everybody else to make sure that you do this for the region. So if you are given a carte blanche wish, you're given one magical wish or 3 magical wishes, what does lead look like in 5 to 10 years, Madam Vision Bearer?
So
For the members out there or for those that want to join,
I don't know what lead will look like.
this is carte blanche. This is you dreaming.
What I will say
Yeah.
is that our mission is to see East African businesses well led.
Yeah.
So if in 50 years from now, we have diverse boards, we have boards that are driving sustainability across, whether it's business, social enterprise, politics, whatever it is, and you sit back and say, when I look at Parliament, it's well led.
Yeah.
When I look at Cabinet, it's well led. When I look at NGOs,
50 years.
I'm just stretching it out because there's some work to be done. But the point is that lead is not an end in itself. You see, if we have
The vehicle.
1,000 members in lead and businesses are not well led, we have not done our work. So for me, the satisfaction will be in when we see many corporate scandals these days, and those scandals come from failures in the boardrooms. If we come to a time when everyone does what they're expected to do in the interest of their organization, they are focused on the sustainability of their businesses, of the communities, of the nations, then lead is effective. So to me, lead is not an end in itself. It's a channel.
It's a channel.
It's a channel that makes resources available, skills available, knowledge available, information available, in order that behavior will shape up and will be informed, and that we see on the other side businesses that are well led.
That's a huge vision. And I hope anybody out there that is inspired to join LEAD will, join with this vision in mind. Now, coming back to effectiveness, to relevance, to value, we started this conversation talking about regulators and what they need. What what is the role of an organization like LEAD, or what value would an organization like LEAD play to the regulator? So any regulator out there that is wondering, what is this LEAD? Why should I even know about it? What value do you think LEAD can, because you've talked about the fact that in 2017, for instance, the Auditor General did a whole audit of Ugandan MDAs and public institutions. And so many were listed, and there were so many failing of what we would call obvious technical things, like the audits were revealing so many things: conflict of interest, malpractices, non-compliance. And this has led to what we have now, that is joining these things where they're joining all the MDAs and putting them back in the ministries, because the MDAs were removed from the ministries to increase efficiency. Now, after that audit in 2017, government now comes and says maybe they need to go back. So there are obviously some failings, despite the fact that we have regulators in the industry. What role do you think LEAD can play to a regulator? How can regulators use an organization like LEAD?
So I see LEAD as a strategic partner to any regulator. And that's across maybe 3 or 4 parameters. The first one is, as I mentioned, a regulator wants to know that the people who are entrusted with the regulated institution are people who are above board.
Yeah.
There are people who are of sound mind. There are people of moral probity. There are people who have the proven experiences, expertise, reliability, credibility to do the work. So because LEAD is building a database, through the process we are validating information. We are checking out those have problems. If we work with the regulator and say, if you see a person who is a member of LEAD, you take it that they have gone through the sieving process, we have validated their data, and we think they are okay for the work that needs to happen. So we are a partner to the regulator at that point to say, don't accept, because a regulator does a fit and proper, right?
Yeah.
But their ability to know individuals is based on the documentation, right? But through our activities, through our programs, we can see who's doing the right things and so on. So that's one area. I think the other area, of course, the regulator is concerned in the health of the organization. They are concerned with a governance culture, a risk management culture that ensures that whatever sector they're regulating is stable, right? So how do you bring about that culture? One is, say, bring the right people with the right values, but the other one is to continually train them, whether through classroom training or through mentoring, to know what am I missing? What should I be looking for? What could happen that I'm not aware of? So LEAD is that platform, because we do that training, we do that, value addition in terms of mentoring and that sort of thing. So if we partner with the regulator, it's even possible for the regulator to say, I would like every board in this sector to know about, for example, reputational risk, right? How do we partner with the regulator in order to support that? And then 3 is the work we do regarding recognition of NEDs and so on. I'm sure if you're a regulator and you see certain directors being recognized, you probably are saying, okay, someone is paying attention, someone is watching. Because these nominations don't come out of the blue. People have seen what NEDs are doing exactly. So that peer recognition, I believe, should also give the regulator some comfort that things are going well. So with regulators, and I know you and I have discussed that, how do we become more useful to the regulators? How do we complement their effort? This ties into the vision. Exactly. Because regulators are interested in sustainable businesses as well. They're interested in businesses that serve the communities, that serve the interests of depositors or whatever it is. So we are aligned in that sense. Businesses are well led, the regulator sleeps well at night. So I think that for me, it's really that strategic partnership. We collaborate, we support, we enhance, and we should probably then be able to see the change that we want to see on both sides.
Wow. Thank you, Gertrude. That gives us a very clear picture of what LEAD provides as value to the regulator. And it also sort of aligns the vision of the regulator and of LEAD. It's really the same. I mean, even the shareholders, I'm sure, would be interested in the League of East African Directors and what value it can bring to the board and to increasing efficiency as well as improving the bottom line. Members out there or non-members, I'm sure for those that are not members of LEAD in the East African region, you must be wondering, how do I join LEAD? It's very simple. Look at yourself and the qualifications and things that our chairperson has talked about. And then if you think that it is time to join a board, please go to our website, www.eadirectors.org. It's down there at the bottom as I speak. And you'll see how to become a member. It will show you all the requirements. Just go through that. There'll be a vetting process. As Gertrude told you, we really need to make sure you are the person that wants to present to a board, and then your journey to boards can begin. But LEAD also has a program for young people or people that want to transition to other roles on the board, and that is called the Ready to Lead program. So this program, you find all the information about it on our pages. We're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and other pages. The other thing I would like to emphasize is that we also do, from what Gertrude has said, I need to add as CEO that I'm not doing my job. We have programs that are particular to particular board committees. And currently we're running an exciting program to certify directors for ESG in the boardroom, environment, social, and governance skills. And this program, you can find it on the website. All the details are there. So coming back to our chairperson, Getrude Wamala Karugaba, who is giving us serious, invaluable nuggets. When you come to, we've talked about the vision of LEAD, the value of LEAD, the beginning of LEAD. Now, coming back to Uganda, coming back to the board, coming back to East Africa and what the boardroom looks like now. Africa is one of the biggest attractors of foreign direct investments right now. We have so many exciting things happening on the continent, like the CFTA, oil and gas, and it's increasing the value and the skill sets that is required of board directors. But there's still challenges. I mean, we've talked about the challenges that existed when you were starting out, that you have addressed, that maybe even technology and everything has addressed. But what do you see as the existing challenges right now that regulators, people like you and I and LEAD, organizations like ours should concern themselves with to do with the boardroom?
So I think one of the things that I think about is mindsets. Even though there's been a lot of evolution, technology, diversity, and all of that, when it comes to the boardrooms, we're still reluctant to allow the young people in, for example. We're still reluctant to try new people. So you still have, recently, someone was talking about a board recruitment, and they were saying they're looking for a person who's 50 years and above. And I was wondering, why is 50 years such an important thing, you know? And I don't know, maybe their board needs someone older or whatever it is.
Maybe the diversity is too.
Yes. So one of the things I think is the mindsets, that we must be willing to attempt new people, new ways, new opportunities. So like I mentioned, when I look at the talent we have on the database and how we've almost hardly scratched the surface of what could be, I think that's for me one of the issues. I think the other thing is also the work that needs to be done to recognize the role of NEDs. I think many organizations give lip service. They want to look good. They say we have many non-executive directors. But when you get into the boardroom, you realize that there is a gap between the value that NEDs should be providing and the value that we're extracting. So one of the things we need to do in our boardroom is to allow the NEDs to play the role that they are supposed to play, to challenge management, to provide insights to management, to bring their own experiences and skills to management. I think that's an important challenge I see. So I see mindsets. We talk about diversity, but we are not yet as open as we should be to younger people, to people who are not obviously skilled or experienced in other boards. You have the gap we're leaving, the opportunity we are not taking when we bring in NEDs. I think the third thing is also our unwillingness to invest in our directors, right? Because when NEDs come, they have a profile, they have experiences they gathered from somewhere. For them to add value to that organization, there are two ways. One can be go off, acquire the knowledge and come back and serve the board, or we invest in them. I have seen boards that arrange, a week training on sustainability. They're not taking chances. They're not saying we're going to hire or we're going to bring NEDs who know sustainability. They're taking the effort to train them. This is how we do things. This is how we manage risk. This is how we deal with sustainability. Sometimes organizations are reluctant to make that investment. So they want people who are ready-made. So that's why sometimes they give us a profile. We want a person who has risk and governance and technology. And you're looking at this list of things and saying, who's that person? Where is that person?
That's
right?
True.
And yet we should be able to get that. I think the other thing that probably I will talk about is we're not doing skills reviews as bots. We are many times just collecting a group of individuals. And so what happens is sometimes you have more of the same.
Also, you mean like a skills needs assessment?
Yes. So when you do, so there's the review. So on an annual basis, we have that question in our evaluation. Do you think the board has the skills necessary to run the organization? I have hardly seen a board which says no. Most of the time, no, we have. And then when there's transition, people are leaving, you're rotating board members. I have rarely found a board that says, okay, the person who has left is a lawyer, but do we still need a lawyer for the future? Not just review, but to say the skill that this person had, is it the exact same skill? So usually I see boards saying, we have lost an accountant, we need an accountant. We've lost a lawyer, we need a lawyer, which is a missed opportunity. Because at a point in time, the skills a board requires are not the same that they did before. So I want to encourage boards, especially when they are going through the rotation, to ask the question, what skills do we need today? If we need technology, we can take out. In fact, I've seen boards where they say, we have too many professionals of one kind, so and so can you step aside so that we can bring in the skills that are required. And an NED should not take it personal, should not say, why are you asking me to leave? Because you serve a company. So I've also found that boards tend to be incremental in acquiring skills rather than looking for transformation of their boardrooms. And so that's another area that I think boards need to look at. I think finally for me is the whole dynamic of the boardroom as a place for executives to learn. I think the Companies Act provides, I think in Table F, that executive directors should be given the opportunity to serve on boards. So we need to allow the boardroom to be a place for executive directors and other executives to learn how serving on a board could be. Sometimes in our boardrooms, we are really Yeah, sometimes in our boardrooms, we are really tough. We are saying we don't want management near us. How do we use the opportunity? Because an NED is also a mentor.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer. If I serve on a board where there's a lawyer who's maybe much younger than me, it's my responsibility to mentor them to become the lawyer that I believe that, that they need to be. And so we need to use our NEDs as real value addition, in not just saying, we have a number and they come to boardrooms and that sort of thing. We need to tap into who they are, because they are really, really talented people.
Yeah.
They have diverse skills, but often we just scratch the surface, as it were.
I wouldn't have brought this up, but your conversation has provoked me.
Okay.
Succession planning.
Yeah.
I think, because I've seen a lot of boards running helter-skelter looking for a board director because one has expired, their term has expired or age, and yet they're running helter-skelter in the next quarter after the gentleman or the lady leaves. How do you think boards can plan better on succession? Just one last nugget.
I think for me, it is the two things. You use the word planning, right? A board should not operate in an ad hoc fashion where they are taken by surprise or where they are only focused on the next quarter's meeting. They should understand, because you have a board evaluation in a properly functioning board, maybe once a year. Part of that evaluation, if it's well done, should usually ask you about transitions and succession and rotation. Now, many times with boards, because it's a tick box exercise, they get the evaluation results, they put them in the bag, and they say, we did an evaluation.
Yeah.
I want to encourage boards to really go through the results of that evaluation. Typically, they will include something on succession. Do we have a plan on succession? And part of that is also what I talked about, the skills. Who is the next successor? It's not necessarily because the chair was an engineer, therefore the chair should be an engineer. Asking ourselves that kind of question, who is the leader? Remember, the chair, for example, is a leader. So what kind of leader do we need for the next season? What kind of leader do we need that will be a sparring partner to the CEO but add value at the same time? So you find that most boards, like I said, pack away the board evaluation. But the other thing also is practices. Some boards, I've seen positive practices. They have a vice chair of the board. They have a vice chair of committees. That ensures that the succession, you're not ambushed if the chair is not there. There's somebody who's able to step in. They know what's been happening. But it's not as common, unfortunately. Many boards don't have vice and chairs, and deputies and so on. But that's I've seen is a good way to really tackle the succession planning question. And then finally is to have the conversations, because sometimes people also might want to go out kicking and screaming. They're not ready to leave, So again, the preparation to say, Fiona, in the next 1 year, your term will be up, and this is the plan. This is the plan and all of that. So that you don't just go to a board meeting and they say, today, director so-and-so is saying bye. First of all, you're saying bye. There is corporate memory, which they have not had an opportunity to transition to somebody else. Yeah.
Wow. Something you said is very important here, and I think it speaks to these best practices you're talking about, the ability to invest in your board. If you look at the fact that non-executive directors, for instance, are not compensated for the value they bring, and yet they contribute a huge
They're
amount.
compensated.
Yeah, but
It is just inadequate.
that's what I mean, to the value they bring.
Yeah.
So and yet they speak a lot to the bottom line, and they're accountable for a lot more. It argues for investing in skilling, investing in even advice. Some people will argue numbers, we can't afford that many board directors, but you can actually, if you look at what value they could bring, and the issue of succession, which ensures sustainability and continuity of the business.
Yeah.
So
Maybe I'll just say something on succession. one of the things we've been talking about in LEAD is how some of our directors, especially, or some of our members, especially those who are inexperienced, how they can be given the opportunity to be mentored. And here I'm really appealing to those boards that are large and who are willing to add value from a governance perspective, to give us the opportunity to bring some of these inexperienced directors but with huge potential to come and serve on boards. I have to say that because we need, remember we said LEAD also has those people who are aspiring, who have potential, but they haven't yet got an opportunity. So the boards, and we've talked to some of them, I want to mention them, who have said, bring us those people, and we see how to incorporate them in our activities.
Thank you for bringing that up. That is part of the Ready to Lead program. The part of that course is actually placing you with a board, and we are in conversation with some of these boards. And once you're placed on that board for a quarter or two, then you get the right mentorship. You get the right picture of what it means to sit on such a board. What's the last thing you'd like to say? Now speak to your members.
I think for me, with the LEAD membership, my call to the members is to continue to prepare themselves for the opportunities that lie ahead. Take advantage of the opportunities LEAD provides, whether it's webinars, whether it's mentorship, whether it's phone calls, whether it is listings, whatever it is. I want to encourage LEAD members to take advantage of that. Sometimes we come in and we have an expectation that the moment I join LEAD, I should be on the board or on a board within the next 3 months. Sometimes it works that way, but more likely it will take a bit of time. So in the time that you're waiting to be placed on a board, how do you prepare yourself as a person? How do you improve, especially for those who are not as experienced in board work? How do you work on your business effectiveness? How do you strengthen your leadership skills? How do you strengthen your personal attributes? I think we need to do that work. All of us, even us who have served on boards for many years, we need to keep doing that because not every board is the same. Boards are unique. And because boards are unique, during the period while we wait for the next opportunity or even as we serve, let's continue to work on ourselves.
One last question for our viewers. I know our time is fast spent, but some people kill me if I don't ask. Does Gertrude have fun, and how does she do it?
There are many things I enjoy doing, but I enjoy a good conversation with my children. The other day, we were having a conversation. We went for breakfast on Sunday, and my daughter said, "Mommy, how do banks make money?" I was like, okay. So I explained to her, banks do intermediation and all of that. There were other children as well. So other questions came in. Okay, how does insurance work? How do insurance companies make money? Then my driver also jumped in. How does insurance cover you and so on? I enjoy those conversations because they make me sharper as well. Sometimes we take things for granted because I'm a lawyer until my daughter, who's 8 years old, says, "Mommy, what does a lawyer do?" So that's on a light note. I like to spend time with my children. I like to teach them the things that I have learned over the course of time. Otherwise, I love to listen to music and sing along to music. Sometimes quite loudly. I play tennis when I can. But really, my joy comes from spending time with my family, with my children, because they challenge me. Sometimes they make me break down concepts, like that conversation was really interesting. So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Gertrude, for opening yourself up, for sharing your vision. I know that for vision bearers, the most intimate thing that can happen to them is to bear their hearts out and share the vision. And
sometimes not to sleep. Sometimes I go to bed and I have so many ideas for LEAD. I can't sleep. And I'm not even joking. I'm saying, I wish we could do this and wish we could do that. Like, I am always thinking about what lead could really be. So, and we've talked about that many times. So anyway,
thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your vision. This is going to be on record forever. So we will judge you in 50 years. Okay. But thank you so much for sharing. And ladies and gentlemen, this podcast are going to be monthly. And I'm very excited that Gertrude has given us a really fast inclination of what the podcast is going to be like. We're here for you. We're here to empower you. We're here to emphasize what boards should mean to you. And I hope that you have benefited from this. My name is Fiona Wall. I'm the CEO of the League of East African Directors. You can go to our website for all the information you need and make sure that you're ready for the board.